Welcome to the Northeast Florida Development Diaries, the place where we share the stories shaping the future of our region. This series is brought to you by the Northeast Florida Economic Development Corporation, a partnership committed to strengthening our communities, attracting investment, and expanding opportunity across Northeast Florida. I'm Amber Shepard, the Strategic Alliances Business Partner for Northeast Florida Economic Development Corporation, and your host. Each episode, we sit down with investor members, state leaders, and innovators who are driving growth, not just in boardrooms, but in neighborhoods, schools, and local businesses across our counties. These conversations shine a light on the people and programs moving our region forward and the impact their work has on our communities. This is where insight meets action. This is the Development Diaries. Today, we're joined by Ryan Bartkus, Senior Director of Program Management at the Florida Development Finance Corporation. Ryan is a public finance professional focused on advancing economic development through innovative financing tools and public-private partnerships. In his role, he oversees key programs such as Commercial PACE or CPACE, helping deploy private capital into projects that strengthen local economies, enhance infrastructure, and support resilient long-term development across Florida. Ryan brings more than 20 years of experience across finance, insurance, and business operations, including over a decade in mortgage underwriting and credit analysis. His background spans housing finance, risk management, and program administration, giving him a strong foundation for structuring capital programs that align with private investment with public sector goals. His career also includes leadership roles with builder affiliated mortgage companies, experience as a forensic underwriter during the housing market downturn, and entrepreneurial work as both an insurance agency owner and executive director of a camp and retreat facility where he managed operations, capital planning, and community partnerships. Ryan, it's great to have you with us. Let's start with your journey and what led you into the world of public finance and economic development.
Yeah, thank you, Amber. Thank you for having me today. So, as you kind of noted, I had a kind of non-traditional path to where I am today. But when I look back, it all connects. I actually started out in the home improvement industry and management role, which gave me a really strong foundation in sales and operations early on. From there, I moved into insurance. I got licensed, and I eventually started my own agency, as you indicated. That was my first real experience as an entrepreneur, and it taught me a lot about risk, relationships, and just how to run a business. After that, the transition into mortgage banking, where I spent about a decade working in underwriting operations for builder-owned mortgage companies. That's really where I developed a deep understanding of how deals come together, credit, capital, and all the moving pieces behind the scenes. During the housing downturn, I worked as a forensic underwriter, reviewing loan files that tied to the finance crisis. That was a very unique experience that really helped sharpen my attention to detail and gave me strong perspective on risk and compliance. Then I took a bit of a different turn and became the executive director, as you said, of a camp and retreat facility, which I loved. It was a great time, loved working with kids, but that role was a little less about finance and day to day and more about leadership, managing budgets, building partnerships out in the field and working with people across the state. And then all that ultimately led me here to the Florida Development Finance Corporation, where I work as a senior director, and I focus on these programs that you discussed, the private activity bonds and CPACE, that help bring in the capital for businesses here in Florida. So while the path wasn't linear, every step along the way was built towards what I'm doing now, which is helping structure deals and support economic development across Florida.
I love that. I look back at my own career path and recognize it's been full of twists and turns, but to your point, everything has culminated to this point and brought everything together. Can you share with us some of the programs that FDFC offers and what that looks like for emerging markets and businesses seeking capital?
Sure. So the Florida Development Finance Corporation, which we effectively call FDFC, as you may or may not know, is a statewide public finance authority that helps drive economic development. And our primary role, or one of our primary roles, is issuing private activity bonds, which are tax exempt or taxable bonds that help finance projects like manufacturing facilities, multifamily housing, and other qualifying projects or developments that might be out there. These bonds allow borrowers to access lower cost of capital, making projects more feasible and more competitive. And in addition to the bonds, we also have an innovative financing program called Commercial PACE, which we affectionately call CPACE, which enables commercial property owners to fund energy efficiency, renewable energy, and resiliency measures on properties for long-term fixed rate financing that's tied to properties. So at a high level, we operate in the intersection of public purpose and private investment, and we're helping projects move forward to deliver economic development here in Florida.
That's awesome. Can you
Yeah.
share some of the parameters of an ideal project? What are you looking for in the businesses that are seeking some of this capital sourcing, and what size projects are ideal for you?
So generally speaking, on the private activity side, this could range. I would say that from the cost of issuance standpoint, typically you would see projects start out in the 20 to $30 million range. And this can be for um, projects like hospitals, like we've dealt with UF Health in Florida. We've also worked with Tampa General as projects that we've financed throughout Florida, and they would be in that range. And then we go all the way up to transportation projects like Brightline, where we've bonded over $1 million. So that kind of flexes, but it's also encapsulated by IRS requirements. So when we look at these projects, typically you would like to have bond counsel involved in these projects that are, working with you, and a financial advisor is what we suggest. We are the condo issuer. So, for us, we're regulated, through the state, and then each one of these projects individually fit within those IRS guidelines. And then moving on to CPACE, this is kind of a little bit more open concept for capital, which I love. It can be done anywhere in the state where we have an interlocal agreement with a county or a city. And it lets us deploy the capital to these commercial buildings, whether new or existing buildings. And these projects can be anywhere from $250,000 to small projects up to, we just closed a project where that was $294 million that was deployed into multifamily mixed use projects. So we kind of go across the board on these different projects, but love both of these programs, and would love to get into more detail if you'd like to do that.
Absolutely. I definitely am open to you getting into the weeds on this, recognizing that a lot of the listeners and viewers of our podcast are interested in doing projects. We have huge needs here in Bradford County. And I think with the things that you're discussing, especially in terms of the housing market, we're trying to attract renewable energy and some advanced manufacturing. It definitely could open up doors of opportunity here. One thing I'm curious about, I'm really curious, like, what are the requirements that you have for an ideal user of these bonds? Is it okay for startups, or are you looking for a company that has a history? What do you look for in the ideal organization?
Sure. So first, I'll speak to the private activity bonds. What we look for there is a company that's been in existence for approximately 3 years. That doesn't mean that we can't do somebody who's new, but they would have to have the backing of somebody behind them that maybe had some experience, a good professional team. So in that realm, 3 years of experience in fitting IRS requirements work well. And then on the commercial side, you could really run from somebody that's a new organization up to an entity that has quite a bit of experience behind them, but really falls into any kind of project, meaning we've got these guidances from the private activity bonds that we have to encapsulate that program to. CPACE, which would allow for a commercial property owner anywhere from, what I talked about before, $250,000 up to this, really exponential amount of money that could be spent to help improve these buildings, but are somebody that really has a financing need to bring a existing building into compliance or take a new building that they're looking to construct and make it more sustainable, right? I think this is very important, especially in Northeast Florida or in Florida in general, right? We have hurricanes that come through, and I think for counties and cities, and not only just counties and cities, but also for commercial property owners, strengthening those buildings before a storm comes through is beneficial, right? And it's beneficial from the perspective of not having to put the building back into shape, basically, right? If you build a new building and it's sustainable and you're in a position where you don't have to worry about that storm coming through and spending more capital, or even the county or the city spending more capital to improve that building after the storm comes through, then these are projects that we're looking for property owners that would like to see that, and local governments that would like to see those type of fundings.
So it's really for organizations that are seeking to grow and develop and maybe even rehab private property, which may be commercial. It's not for, say, municipal use, right? So and correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is, we wouldn't be utilizing this financing capability to build new courthouses. This would be for private commercial use.
That is correct. Under our statute, we're unable to lend to any local governments, but we do have a public-private use, which means that we need the interlocal agreement with a public organization to be able to move forward with these financings. So it's a great partnership with the local government, but there are some requirements there where we would just be private funding on its commercial buildings within that nature.
I really appreciate that clarification. I know, when we're talking about money and access to capital, everybody's eyes light up. So it's really good to be able to share, like, what are the parameters, what are the qualifications at a very high level. And obviously, I'm sure each project is reviewed, especially with your background as a forensic auditor. Every project's going to be reviewed very thoroughly and make sure that it's definitely a win-win-win, because it has to be a win for the community, a win for the builder, the developer, and then a win for the state of Florida and for FDFC. So I can really appreciate that. So share with me, we had a very unusual introduction. Can you share with our audience how we first got connected?
Yeah, so we have a project that came to us in Bradford County, a great developer who is looking to build townhomes in the county, and was looking for, in addition to his financing, CPACE. And for that to take place, as I noted before, we needed an interlocal agreement with Bradford County. And within those conversations, I had the pleasure of meeting you, and you coming and presenting at one of the meetings with us, which really helped us move the interlocal agreement forward in Bradford County. So for that, I'm very appreciative, and what your organization does, it's just great. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I think looking back in that experience, there was another type of PACE funding option that had come about that had created some concerns in the community. And you know how it is with misinformation and accurate information being shared. And so it was really good to be able to talk with you and learn specifically how CPACE operates. Can you share a little bit on what that interlocal agreement means and why that's necessary? What are the bones behind that?
Sure. So two things. One, we were developed in statute over 30 years ago. And within our statute, there's a requirement for us to have interlocal agreements where we do business, both on the tax exempt bond side and our CPACE side. But the other part of that is there's a statute in place for PACE in general. And within that statute, there's a requirement for interlocal agreement. And the reason for that is, local governments want local control, right? And we understand that and we believe in it. So we want to partner with each local government to bring this program through Florida and provide this financing there. But that agreement, just in general, allows for us to work within those boundaries. So we could have an agreement with a city in general or a county. And on the PACE side, we even have some agreements where it's with the county and the county includes the municipalities, which is what happened with our agreement there in Bradford County.
I appreciate you sharing that and giving some insight to that. And can you help our viewers understand? Because I know there's also some citizens that are listening to this, and there was some concern about the relationship with the tax collector's office, and they didn't understand why the tax collector would have to be involved. Can you give us some clarity around that?
Sure. So this goes back again to the statute. So within 16308, there's a requirement on this program where the collection has to be through the tax collector's office. We don't have the ability to direct bill. In some states, this is possible. But based on the creation of the statute and our requirements, we have to have an interlocal agreement with the tax collector. I shouldn't say interlocal agreement. I should say services agreement with the tax collector. And in Bradford County, that process, probably could have been communicated a little bit better. But it turned out in the end where we had great communication and we finalized that agreement with the tax collector. But the FDFC, just so everybody knows, acts as an assessment administrator on our CPACE program. And what that means is we take in all the data, we put everything together in a format that the tax collector would like to see. So this is not a scenario where we're putting and taxing the tax collector with a lot of work. It's really a partnership that we provide to them the data that's necessary. They upload that into the system, and that system is then puts a non-ad valorem assessment on the tax bill for that voluntary assessment for that property owner. So we, as an organization, just so you know, I know in the state of Florida, there's been some back and forth, but we believe in these relationships. We attend the tax collectors conferences here annually in Florida. We try to build those relationships, and we hope to do that more in the future. We understand that they have a job to do, and we want to make sure we're doing it right for them.
I think that's really helpful. I know we as human beings are creatures of habit, and when we are asked to do something new, there's, maybe some apprehension around that. So I appreciate you sharing that. I think that'll help clear up any concerns that people may have, and of course, if they have questions, they can always reach out to you. How do you see partnerships like this shaping the future of our local economy?
Partnerships with NEFDC.
Hmm.
So from my perspective, our partnership with you is incredibly valuable because it brings alignment across the programs that we have here and within the region. What we do is focused on financing tools, bonds, and CPACE and things that help projects move forward. But those tools are most effective when they're paired with strong local coordination and clear communication, which is what you helped us with in Bradford County. So again, we really appreciate that. And I just think your organization plays a critical role. You guys help connect businesses with the right stakeholders. You provide these insights and the right priorities, and create more streamlined path for projects to move forward from concept to execution, which I think is great. I love what your organization is doing.
And from our end, I think our relationship with Florida Development Finance Corporation is really valuable because it gives us access to more tools in the tool belt. Recognizing that when business leaders are looking to expand, capital is a significant need. And there's many forms of capital out there, but this is a really great opportunity. And I would encourage business leaders, if you meet those requirements that Ryan talked about earlier, let's get in conversation. I'm happy to make an introduction and see if your project would qualify and what the value might be to your organization. So Ryan, what is next? Do you guys have any exciting projects or goals on the horizon that you can share with us?
Well, I can tell you that so we've been doing tax exempt bonds for over 30 years, and we love, love, love that business. But CPACE is near and dear to my heart. We've been growing this business for 10 years. And since that period of time, We have grown the business to over 60 closings and just hit over $1.1 billion in funding. Next up for me is to continue to grow our team and just see growth within the Panhandle of Florida. This program really started in South Florida, where a lot of the business was, and we just want to help grow business within the Panhandle to the Big Bend curve of Florida. We think there's a lot of growth there, and we just look forward to those times working in those communities.
So when you think about the next 5 years, what do you hope to see for the Northeast Florida area?
Well, I hope to see, I mean, it keeping its pristine nature, but while also growing and providing, jobs for those people that work in those areas and, just protecting buildings that may already be there. But I think it's one of nature's most beautiful places, is North Florida. And I just hope that people get a chance to experience it, but also, the locals there get a chance to finance and improve those businesses when people come in and visit.
I agree with you. I hope we can keep the beauty of our nature and complement it with some significant commercial opportunities. I kind of feel like the communities around Bradford County have really grown up dramatically. We're kind of nestled in between Gainesville and Jacksonville, and so it almost feels like the last frontier. We have a lot of opportunity here, especially with us creating an alternate truck route going around the city of Stark. So traditionally in the past, US 301 used to run straight through the city of Stark, and now we've created that alternate truck route to divert the traffic, saving the local traffic for the in-town driving. And with that exit ramp feature that we now have, I think it opens up a lot of opportunity for retail and hospitality and housing. We've got about almost 200 acres available out at 301 and 16, the new exit ramp that's been created there. And there's some zoning for high density residential, some commercial highway interchange, which would be great for the hospitality, like a hotel or nice sit down restaurants. And when we look at the landscape on 301 going all the way to the Georgia border. Now 301 it goes almost up to the Canadian border, but
Right.
just even to the border in Georgia, all the way down to Ocala, there is a huge need for nice hotels and some retail establishments or some nice restaurants. I think about like when you go down I-75 or I-95, almost every exit, and even I-10. On I-10, it's a little more sparse to find the exits that have the restaurants where you can sit down, like Cracker Barrel or Bob Evans or Texas Roadhouse, or pull off at a Hampton Inn hotel. And so, we see a lot of traffic in that area. I think last DOT counts were at about 35,000 vehicles passing through there on a daily basis. And there's nothing from the I-10, from I-10 down to Waldo, I think is the nearest truck stop, and they have a truck stop and a hotel. And so this is a real good opportunity. And with the projects that we just recently announced, I don't know if you were able to receive the press release that we just sent out about the Erisha Group and their expression of intention to build a 700-acre R&D manufacturing innovation hub out of the Keystone Heights Airport over the next 7 years. Phase one of that is going to be 100 acres. $400 million CapEx investment, 400 to 600 jobs created. And this is supposed to happen in the next 3 years. We're just waiting on the finalization of the land lease negotiation, which I think will be coming probably within the next few months. The holdup is there's board approvals from the Keystone Heights Airport and then also the FAA. But once all of those things get coordinated, they'll be ready to launch. And so that's going to be a whole lot more traffic into the area. So for our viewers that are in hospitality and retail, yes, I'm calling out to you. Let's get this conversation started. I think we're like at the right stage to start the conversation. Not maybe not necessarily to break ground, but these things don't happen overnight. So there's a lot of conversation, a lot of communication, sharing of documents for financial eligibility and things of that nature. So now is the right time to get those conversations started. So, is there anything else that you think of that, we've talked about that maybe you might want to share a little more in depth on or add any more clarity to?
If I could just tag on to what you were just saying about this project coming, which is great. I love that for your region, and I would just say, I mean, to those that are looking for financing for hospitality, bringing in hotels, housing that may be needed there, the CPACE program would be very beneficial, right? I think it could help bring those folks into communities where they just don't know how to finance those projects, or they just need a little help getting them there. I think that, especially in Bradford, just being up there, it would be good. The developer that we are working with there, he called, Bradford and start kind of the donut hole. Like you said, it's close to Jacksonville and close to Gainesville. And, if you don't want to live in all that traffic and you want to live in a beautiful, nature set area that still has growth potential for Florida, then I would just love to be a part of that, and I hope that our programs can help you guys do that.
So, one final question. If people have an interest and would like to learn more, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Sure. So the easiest way to get in touch with us is you can connect with us through our website at fdfcbonds.com, or they can call me directly on my cell phone. I'm happy to put it out there as 407-276-4223. And any questions, anything that you guys want to learn or know about our programs, we're here to help.
Ryan, thank you for joining us and for the work you're doing to expand access to capital and drive meaningful development across Florida. We appreciate your insight, your leadership, and the role you play in helping bring innovative financing solutions to communities throughout our region. To our listeners, thank you for tuning into this episode of the Northeast Florida Development Diaries. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode, and stay connected as we continue highlighting the leaders and innovators driving growth across our region. We appreciate you, and we look forward to having you with us on the next episode.